All right, welcome. I think we're on. So, this is the continuation of our series on some academic challenge problems and solving them. We are on question 16 of the 2021 academic challenge math test. Let's see what we got here. On number 16, it says find the volume of a right circular cone with a base diameter of 13.8 and a slant height of 15.8. So let's see. So if we drew a cone, all right, and it says that the diameter is 23.8, and so, if the diameter is 23.8, we really want the radius, and so that's 23.8 divided by 2, or 11.9, and so we'll draw that in here. This is the radius, okay. We're going to need the height if we want the volume. And it told us that the slant height is 15.8. And so this is 15.8. And so we can find the regular height using the Pythagorean theorem. And so Pythagorean theorem lies if you took the square root of 15.8 squared minus 11.9 squared, that would give you the height. And so let's see where we're at here. We've got the square root of 15.8 squared minus 11.9 squared. And it's, this number here, it's certainly more accurate and probably even faster to use your calculator's abilities to store it. And so you hit stow, and then you hit alpha, and then we'll put H here for height. Okay. And now we want the volume of said cone. And so the volume is 1/3. Whoops. 1/3 times pi times the radius, which is 11.9 squared, times, excuse me, times the height, which we stored as H. So you can see that we get this number here, 1541, and you can see that it's choice C. Okay, choice C. Question 17 says matrix A and matrix B are both square matrices with the same dimensions. Matrix A has a determinant of 7 and matrix B has a determinant of 5. What's the determinant of the matrix 2A transpose B? Now, I got a feeling that if you're watching this, you're like, I don't know what this T means or anything like that. It's possible you don't even know what the determinant means. And so, however, if you just sort of learn how to do a few things, and so if you learn how to do a few things, then you're able to do this. And so a determinant of a 2x2 square matrix that looks like this, okay, we write it with the absolute value signs, but the determinant is AD minus BC, okay? And so we're going to just sort of come up with a matrix A whose determinant is 7 and a matrix B whose determinant is 5. And so I'm going to just put 7 here and 1 here. I'll put 0 here. 1 here would work. And so that, so that would be 7 minus 0 if we found its determinant. And then matrix B, if we did it similarly, this would be a matrix whose determinant is 5. And so now, again, you don't have to know any more than that to get this problem right. I'll show you. So if we get our calculator out, and maybe I'll see what I can do here to make it a little bit better, less glare on the screen somehow. What happens if I turn the light on? Anything? No, not really. So I gotta find a way to get this calculator with less glare. How about there, maybe? All right, so if I hit second matrix and hit edit and A, you can type the matrix in that we have. You can see that I've already done that. And then matrix B, similarly, I'll hit edit, matrix B, and then I have 5, 0, 1, 1. And then the question says, what is the determinant of matrix 2A transpose B? Whew. So if we go out here, and I hit 2 matrix A, and then I hit the matrix button again, and I go over to math. Notice this T is transposed. I might explain that in a second, just for your own curiosity. And then B, then this is the matrix in question. And so then if I hit matrix and I hit determinant, and then I just go up here and copy and paste 2A transpose B, you can see that I get this number, and it's 140. And that's the answer, part E, okay? Now, if you're curious, let's just take a look at what transpose means, just if you happen to be mathematically curious. There's A. This is A transpose. And so you can see it didn't do much. What it does is it flips some numbers around. It'd be easier on a different example, but that's not really the point of this exercise. Let's go to question 18. 18, it says, in 2010, there were 1,000 rabbits in Bunny Burrow, and the population grows 9% per year. How many rabbits will there be in 2021? And so, if something grows by 9%, one way you can do this is you can say, well, it's 1,000 times 1.09 to the teeth power, and so you can put like P for population if you like. And so then, if we're going from 2010, we're saying 2010 is T equals 0. Then if I plug in T equals 11, then I will have the answer for what they're asking me for. So let's do it. So 1,000, again, I got to get that glare off the screen for you. 1,000 times 1.09 to the 11th power. And so we get this number here, 2580, and you can see that as choice D. All right, how about this? Number 19. It says, what's the period of the sine of 2/9 pi over 4? Well, the period of the sine and the cosine is 2 pi. And so the period of any sine graph is 2 pi divided by the number in front of the variable. So in this case, 2/9. So you can see I'm taking 2 pi divided by 2/9. If you took trigonometry, then this sort of sounds familiar. If you haven't taken trigonometry, you'll get to it within about the first 6 weeks of the course. And so it's 2 pi divided by 2/9. You can see that the answer is 28.27, so that is choice E. The last problem talks about rectangular and polar coordinates. And again, we don't always study all of this in school, but don't think you can't do it on the academic challenge test. So it says convert to polar coordinates. Let me just kind of give you a quick little rundown of polar and rectangular coordinates. If I choose this point to be x and y, we all know that that's because this distance here is x and that distance is y. It's also true that you can call that same point r and theta, where this distance is r and that distance is theta. And so by the Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus y squared is r squared. And then the tangent of theta is y over x. We gotta be a little bit careful of dealing with our calculator on this for tangent inverse reasons, but those equations are totally true. Now, and so if we're looking at negative 4, 6, that's a point about here. And so it's asking for this r, and it's asking for this angle. Okay? And so, actually, whoops, I didn't draw that right. That was negative 4, negative 6, sorry. So negative 4, 6 would be up here, wouldn't it, Darren? Yeah. So they're asking for this angle and this r. Now, if you've taken any trigonometry at all, you can get this. It's the r is the Pythagorean theorem question. Okay, and so like I could say, well, it's the square root of 6 squared plus 4 squared. Okay, we get this number. Okay, and then the theta there, it's the tangent inverse of -6/4 in this case, and so that's that number. And so I feel like I made a mistake somewhere. -4/6, nearest tenth of a radian. There we go. That's why. I was looking at the choices and saw the 1.0. Nearest tenth of a radian would certainly be -1.0. Now, so I just did it. So the answer is, it's C, right? And so that's great. By the way, your calculator does this for you. If you hit second angle, notice this button here, it says rectangular to polar R, and all you got to do is type in negative, it was -4,6, and it gives you that answer. And then if I hit second angle, rectangular to polar theta, -4/6, and it gives you the angle. Oh, 2.2. Okay. 2.2 radians. And so, yeah, we're in good shape there. I'm just curious here. 2 pi minus that number earlier is 4.14. Okay, so we should be all set there. Oh, I know what happened. The tangent inverse doesn't necessarily give me an answer. This one that I'm pointing at doesn't necessarily give me an answer in the right quadrant. And so we got to be careful about that. That's actually the angle in the fourth quadrant. And so, to be honest, it's safer. I can get the one that's correct. It's safer to use the second angle menu. Okay, second angle. So the answer is E. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video.